next have Dan Haley and Jenna Gassew. I will tell you a little bit about them. Dan Haley and Jenna Gassew are both lifetime residents of Delaware County, Pennsylvania. They both graduated from Monsignor Bonner and Archbishop Pendergrass High School, following their college careers at Villanova University and Rosemont College. On April 10th, 2014, they learned that their son had a terminal neural tube defect, anencephaly. Throughout their journey, they decided to celebrate Shane's life in the womb together as a family with a bucket list. How many of you saw this? See, it works. Shane's story caught headlines as their page, Prayers for Shane, documented their adventures. Let's welcome Dan and Jenna.
Good morning. Jenna and I are honored to be here today on the this 10th annual Pro-Life Conference and the 42nd anniversary of Roe v. Wade. We'd like to thank those of you here who followed our journey with Shane and offer prayers on behalf of our family. It is both refreshing and empowering to be in the presence of so many amazing people who define what it means to be pro-life and fight every day to protect the most innocent among us. Our area of concern this morning is in regards to a birth defect called anencephaly. Anencephaly is a terminal neural tube birth defect in which a baby is born without parts of the brain or skull. This usually occurs in the first few days of conception before most women even know they are pregnant. Many people haven't heard of anencephaly, but it is the most common neural tube birth defect along with spina bifida. Life expectancy for a baby born with anencephaly ranges from a few hours to a few days at most.
Our son Shane was diagnosed with anencephaly on April 10, 2014, at 13 weeks gestation. That day, all I could remember was getting out a set of onesies that we had decorated because we were going to announce later on that we were expecting. But then I was sitting in the doctor's office with my mom when the doctor came in after an ultrasound and told us that we had a problem with the baby. Our doctor brought us back in the office and wrote down one word, anencephaly. One word that changed our life forever. We didn't know what it was, but our doctor began to explain that it was a neural tube birth defect with no survival rate. She then continued to say that most people choose to terminate after receiving that diagnosis. My mom quickly interjected and said that we were pro-life and we were going to choose to carry to term. We were upset that that wasn't even an option, to terminate. We had just seen our baby on the ultrasound, moving and kicking. How could someone just say that you could just get rid of it like that? Like we could just dispose of his life, like he wasn't our son and like he didn't matter. I had to call Dan to let him know that we had a problem. When I went and I saw him, I hugged him and I showed him a picture of our baby. I said, he has anencephaly. We're going to carry him, but he's not going to make it. We took a couple days to digest the news that we just received, and we learned on the internet of a little bit more of anencephaly. Some of the terms that came up we saw, frog baby, monster. They dehumanized these babies with such cool names. I was mad and angry at the fact that even in some textbooks written back then, these babies were treated like they were worthless, and I knew my son's life wasn't worthless. Shortly after, we found anencephaly.info. We saw real families, read real stories of real babies that were born, and they were beautiful. This gave us hope, strength, and courage to brace this hard journey ahead. We later decided to create a bucket list. We were going to take our son to as many places as we could as a family. Because we knew most of our time with our son was going to be within the womb, Dan felt like he needed to connect with our son more. He created a Facebook page. He named it Prayers for Shane after we found out that we were expecting a little boy. Our first trip for our adventure was to the Cape May Zoo, that first weekend that we found out that we were diagnosed with anencephaly. We then went to places like New York City, Lancaster, Flyers games, Phillies games, Ocean City, Maryland, Linvilla Orchards, and Geno's Cheesesteaks. We traveled to all kinds of places together as a family. Looking back, these are my favorite memories, the three of us. One of our friends, Chelsea, called from a local news station and said she had seen the page and she wanted to share her story. Soon enough, our story went viral. Hundreds of thousands of people were taking control and praying for our son. They were following our journey, and they were connecting to us through the internet. Tons of prayers and support poured in. We received so many messages and comments, and ultimately, this led to friendships with other parents from our support groups, and they were from all over the country. Because it is so rare for someone to carry a baby with anencephaly to term, there wasn't many options for us to find local people to connect with, and that's why we were happy for the internet. These parents were what we needed. We were all in a group where we didn't wish we belonged, but we needed each other. A lot of people started commenting and saying that, how could they do this? I don't think I could be as strong as them. The fact was that we knew we were parents at the moment of conception. Shane was our firstborn. His life mattered. He was our little boy, and we were going to protect him while he was in the womb. The journey was faced with many tears after doctor's appointments, planning a funeral, which no parent should have to do. But more so, it was spent with family, celebrating each milestone, from revealing to our friends and family that we were expecting a boy, to Shane even having hiccups. It was a harsh reality. They were going to lose Shane, but we were determined to make sure our son knew that he was loved no matter what, and we were proud to hold the title of his parents. The moment Shane was born was truly a miracle. We had the best staff with us. The nurses treated Shane as if he was their own. At 2:25 a.m. on October 9th, Shane arrived safe and sound. That is the moment that I held the whole entire world in my hands, all 6 pounds and 9 ounces. We looked into his eyes, and for the first time in a while, we had cried tears of joy. He was perfect. People all around the world awaited his arrival, and his family was there to welcome him and see him baptized into the Catholic faith.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
Let's relax for a little bit.
All right.
That video was the only time that Shane cried, but that's our favorite video. I can honestly say one of the hardest moments was when we had to give Shane to the funeral director. It's a parent's worst nightmare, and that moment haunts me. But I look back at the night I delivered Shane. For all the months I carried him in my womb, and those 4 precious hours, I can say it was worth it, and that they were the happiest hours of our lives. Shane was born into a loving family. He had a strong heart, 10 fingers, 10 toes, lips and nose like his father's, lots of hair like me, his mom. We saw him for what he had, not for what others said he didn't. He cried only once, but he opened his eyes to meet his whole entire family. We could never imagine if we never had the opportunity to hold and meet our son.
A very unfortunate statistic from LifeSiteNews.com shows that in countries where abortion is legal, 95% of babies diagnosed with anencephaly are terminated. And we believe that one of the main things that pro-life online activists can do to help reduce these numbers is to reach out to parents who have chosen life for babies with such a grim diagnosis and share the stories with the world, whether it's on blogs, Facebook, Twitter, etc. It's amazing when people start sharing it what can happen, as we've seen with our story. This will help raise awareness for anencephaly while simultaneously creating an environment of support for parents whose babies have recently been diagnosed with this neural tube birth defect. One of the first things these parents do after receiving this terrible news is go online and look to others for guidance, because many doctors and medical professionals advise them to terminate the pregnancy. By highlighting stories where parents choose life, you will help other parents see that their babies are precious human beings and deserve to be treated with the utmost respect and dignity. Through sharing the stories of so many amazing parents that have given their children life, pro-life online activists will be doing their part to help reverse this trend that has seen 9 out of 10 parents abort their children after this diagnosis. It is God that entrusts us with the care of these beautiful children, and it is He alone that determines when to call them home. One of our favorite quotes is, "There is no foot too small that it cannot leave an imprint on this world." From the time spent growing in his mother's womb and the 4 hours with us after his birth, Shane left an imprint on this world that will last generations. Shane is a son, a grandson, a nephew, and a cousin. His life, along with the lives of other babies with anencephaly, holds infinite value and is deserving of the utmost respect and love. We'd like to thank all of you at Family Research Council that have given us the opportunity to speak here today. And thank all of you for your time and continued efforts in the pro-life community. God bless.